After being 50 days late, taking her legs from the normal Wisp look, and then basically giving her shoes? There are some questions as to what Digital Extreme are actually playing at here, but let's not sugarcoat this. Wisp Prime has been eagerly awaited for way too long, and she is finally here. She should have turned up at the beginning of June, not at the end of July. It is almost 60 days since Wisp Prime should have turned up, and we should have had her nearly 2 months ago. Has she been worth the wait though? Don't really have to go much further into the video than this. The short answer is yes. The long answer is yes, but it's nothing really fancy to build her. You need 2 Niatan extract and 2 organ crystals, so 1 farming mission later. We have to answer the big question as quickly as possible. No feet. Does she have feet? Oh, no, she not only has feet, she's standing on them. Wow. That's just so wrong. But at the same time not, because obviously Wisp is, or the Prime version is exactly that. A Prime version. The original Wisp. Plus, technically she does stand when you're at this screen. Anyway. So, well, it still has the same walk animation. So, technically, isn't touching the floor, isn't walking. We can kind of forgive them on that one. When it comes to builds, everybody's going to have their own, so I'm not going to go down the build side of things, because it depends what you're using her for as to how you want to build her, but you're gonna want it heavy on the duration side of things. That is kind of a no-brainer. And it's kind of made useful by the fact there is a V polarity here, and a dash polarity, and a D polarity. But if people would like to know kind of builds you can put on this, it all depends what you are using her for. This is just kind of my all-rounder one. This one is built more towards power strength. This one's built more towards duration. Remember that butt I talked about at the beginning of this video? Yeah, that butt that kind of ruins her release, and nothing other than her actual release, is the fact that Digital Extreme showed her off in-game back in May. Then they showed her in-game with the weaponry in June. And then they've basically been sitting on her for 46 or 47 days past when she should have been released. And that was literally the only downside to this. I would love for Digital Extreme to justify some of the things they are doing these days, like sitting on a Prime frame that was due at the beginning to mid-June for a month and a half. Kind of no reasonable excuse to do that when they showed her in-game back in May and then in June. Yeah, but either way, she's here now, and in all honesty, I have missed Wisp so much. And one of the best things about her, in my own opinion, apart from obviously her first ability, which would be the reservoirs, oh yes, that whole health, haste, and electrical damage, it basically stuns enemies around you or that get near it, which makes her great for survivability, defense, and anything melee based, or shooting. Yeah, her first ability, reservoirs, is nuts, but it's her passive that makes her slightly even better, because if you don't use it, well, you kind of jump into a mission and this kind of happens, and you will just get completely annihilated instantly. Because her passive is flowing between dimensions. Wisp becomes invulnerable to enemies while in the air. Oh yeah, don't stay on the floor, you will die. But then again, while moving, she's also in the air because her feet aren't touching the floor. Shouldn't have to jump to activate this, it should just be active if you're moving. Sadly, you do have to move though, jump though. No, literally, as you are moving around, your feet aren't touching the floor. It should just be active if you're moving, it's not. You have to be jumping and you will notice the green kind of cloud around you. So as long as you can keep off the floor and keep that, what looks like an overshield on the go, she's invulnerable. But yes, her reservoirs are... They don't deal an amazing amount of damage, but obviously it's these things. When you enter it, you basically get given one. You can see I have got the electrical one because now when you get near an enemy, it will stun them. That would be the shock one, as it is called. There is vitality that will literally just give you health and overshields, which is... I like that one quite a bit. You're almost invulnerable while in this area, but it does mean for Steel Path she is really, really useful. And haste, well, basically, the best way to demonstrate it is, instead of having an attack speed like that of melee, which is why I referred to this as great for melee, you just throw this down, and yeah. Now you have an attack speed of this for your melee weapon. For as long as it lasts, as long as you stay inside the circles, that certain moat will basically stay there. Will of the Wisp, this one I never use, if I'm being honest. I use it to get around the map. That's about it. Was about to move on to her third ability, but let's be honest, Will of the Wisp, if you actually hold it down, it moves faster. So you can get kind of a further distance from it, and then when you release the ability, it then just instantly teleports instead of just throwing it out and letting it go. And then when the time runs out, teleporting to it, you can literally make it travel across the length of the room in a fraction of the time. It's already across the room, hit the wall, and now it's shoved in the other corner. It is increased distance for that. And I have been asked this one a few times in the past. Whenever you look at these, what does that mean? Well, fun fact, it means you can teleport to it. That would be using her third ability, Breach Surge, and you can do it with any of them. That one over there, hold it in and you teleport to it. It increases the radius of, well, the surge, and you will notice it's now also doing radiation to enemies. And when they take damage, well, you can literally see it coming off them here. I can't teleport to the one in the middle though, because there's literally somebody... Oh, there it is. When they take damage, little wisps come off that kind of take the damage and spread it around. It opens a portal to the sun. Sorry, really, it doesn't really have to go much further than that. Sol's Gate opens a portal to the sun. Hold fire to double the damage, and the cost has increased on this. And I would love a way to suck them all together to do this, but yeah, I'm gonna cheat. Even though it's not really needed, this thing does not suck up a lot of power, but yeah, we'll just activate that. It's doing a little bit of damage. We've got some 300, 700, 900s, 1,000, 2,000, and then we'll just hold it in, then we're instantly getting sixes. Oh yeah, that row of enemies now dead. It goes through enemies. Its punch through is great, and holding the trigger will empty you out of all energy very, very quickly. It's not too good against armored enemies because it is radiation, but as you can blatantly tell, level 195s still do get slightly obliterated by it. Come on, why aren't you? It's just, it's a bit of a pain to aim this ability. That is probably the only downside I've ever seen to this. Yeah. You can see where it's hitting, and then we will just turn that off. And that's not where the... I mean, that's where I'm aiming. You know, crosshair is there. So, activate it, and the sun is actually hitting there. But slightly to the left. If it wasn't for that, yeah. It's just a minor thing to complain about, if I'm being completely honest. It's a doorway to the sun. It should annihilate all enemies. Meaning that this amazing frame, even though the abilities are still the same as they are for normal Wisp, are just insane. With the ability to kind of teleport to your reservoirs using... I'm forgetting the name of her third. Breach Surge. It increases the radius of the surge and the sparks that come out of it when you deal damage to enemies that then deal damage to other enemies. Yeah, using that is very useful, and it is an underutilized ability. Being able to teleport from wherever you are to your reservoir using a breach surge. For defense missions, it's kind of a must, which means she is amazing for defense missions. She has amazing offense, amazing defense. She is one of those frames from back when Digital Extreme were actually making good things. Wisp was one of the, I'm not going to say last ones, they have done a few decent things since, but oh, Protea is probably, no, Gaia was pretty decent as well. And we're just not going to mention the Urali. And with that, we will leave this off here. Wisp Prime, finally in the game, worth getting hold of. She is probably the best Prime frame you can get at the moment, outside of vaulted frames. Because all of the other good Primes are now in the vault, because when she arrived, nidus went bye-bye. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.